Hello, I have your astrology chart here with a couple of notes. The question I was asking you today about the nodal axis, you actually have your south node is in the 10th house in the sign of Aries, and your north node in the 4th house in the sign of Libra. So this I relate to as the evolutionary axis, and we focus more on the house position because this is more unique to the individual. Um, the nodal axis will stay in the same sign for about a year. So I still consider this, I think it is still something to note, but just paying more attention to the house. So up here you actually have your contribution to the world is right next to the south node. So I'm going to do a mini reading, which is I'm just going to cover the lineage and the new school and maybe a little bit about your relationship material. But I want to touch on this. So the south node is sort of what we're moving away from. In Vedic astrology, they call this the tail of the dragon, which is, they think of it as like really bad, but the way I'm holding this is just something that you've already mastered. There's no need to stay spinning and doing the things of that particular tribe because you've already mastered it. And then the goal is to move more toward the north node, the north star, headed toward the north, which for you has to do with nurturing, being nurturing to, we call this a good parent, but it doesn't always mean kids. It can be, to a garden, nurturing a project, something like that. So let's start with the lineage. We would call your lineage the Capricorn job in the Libra tribe because you have a Libra moon. The Libra moon would say what you've already mastered. And I like to think about tribes. So your tribe would have been the ones who were the conscious, co-creative partnerships. Like if we were all in tribes, your specific tribe would be the ones who were making sure that we were all doing relationships appropriately. Um, so conscious co-creative relationships, sometimes as a little kid, because the moon really describes what you came in already being a master of. So it would oftentimes show us the kid who was sort of playing peacemaker within the family, making sure that if this is the dinner table, that all members of the family are being equally heard and validated. So nobody's right, nobody's wrong. We're all just here together and we're all being validated equally. Your specialty within that tribe would be the Capricorn job. So within that tribe of peacemakers and conscious co-creative partnerships, your specialty would be the tribal elder, the one who is setting the structure for the next 7 generations. Does it grow corn? When you're looking at, I'm in charge of how we do relationships within this unit, and then your specialty would be making sure that it is serving the next 7 generations, making something sustainable. Your new school. So this is what you're here to learn about. What we're here to learn about oftentimes is something that is uncomfortable because it's like, you sign up for a new school, you've already mastered this other thing, then it's like life will nudge us into our new school and we trip awkwardly going into it like, some of us scream and run the other way because it's something we're not very comfortable with, especially if we're being very much congratulated for what we've already mastered. Okay, so for you, you have Cancer rising, and you can see you have Jupiter. That's Lilith. I don't really talk about Lilith too much. There's just a lot more things that take top priority. Nothing against Lilith. So Jupiter, the rising, and your Venus. So the rising sign, this would be the tribe that you're signed up to learn about in this lifetime, being Cancer. So learning how to nurture families. This is also a householder, as is Libra. So not meaning you have to hold a house or anything like that, but that it is one of the structural, like one of the foundational points on the wheel. Setting a structure, like your lineage was setting a structure for the way we do relationships. We collectively, because we look to those setters, and again, let me just remind that you're all of it. You know, everything that exists is you. Then there's just different ways that it plays out, which is what we look at these particular things on the chart for. So Cancer, and then the North Node showing us your specialty. It's in the fourth house, which is also like Cancer. So we call this the Cancer job in the Cancer tribe. So extra nurturing, good parent, parent to your projects, even parent to the people within the projects. It's like something that my mentor told me recently was asking how I discipline. And I was like, I don't really discipline. But if, you know, if we were wolves and there was a wolf going into a dangerous area, you would go get them. And with all this, you know, Cancer job in the Cancer tribe, you're really doing that as your new school. This is something that you're going toward, doing more nurturing and caretaking, making sure that the pack doesn't get too far away from the goal of where, not saying that there's a goal, but back to safety at least. You know, if you see them going out past the boundary, you're like, hey, danger, danger, you know, come back this way or go that way, but just don't go that way. And really, the things that come up most is like giving a soft space, having, you know, having a pillow, warm food in your belly, hosting the parties that feed people, like all of those things feed your archetypes of Cancer job in the Cancer tribe. So let's go up here to the Midheaven. Now that I've talked about the South Node being something that you've already mastered, and we don't need to spend so much time because it's something that you know. Well, now we see that the Midheaven is right next to your South Node. The Midheaven is your contribution to the world, the way you're standing out and contributing to humanity, which is the sign of Aries. Okay, so then that whole that's really funny. That whole thing I just said about looking at the wolves and being like, hey, come back, you know. This is a protector of the tribe. This is the one who is fiercely protecting whatever it is in charge of protecting. So in your contribution to the world, with Aries, it is about independence, action, and protection, you know, being a fierce protector of whatever it is that you decide is your cause, having a cause and fiercely protecting it. So now with the South Node next to it, this is kind of says to me that what you have mastered in the past, which is the Capricorn job, comes into play for the way you contribute to the world. So using everything you already know about your lineage, and this doesn't happen all the time that we're supposed to use everything we know. But to me, this says that you are using what you know in your current life, the way you contribute to the world. So, yeah, I'll just end there. Thank you so much for letting me read your chart. I have been enjoying your questions that are, you know, getting people to touch parts of themselves that aren't touched because we're not taught to ask these questions. And, you know, we're asking these questions to ourselves, but we're not communicating about them because it's not comfortable. And you're like really just coming with it, which led me to wonder, you know, what is this? Like, what is he doing? So I wanted to look at your chart and see it, you know, to help it make sense for me. And it really has. So thank you so much. I adore you. I honor you. And thank you for your contribution. You are doing amazing things. So thank you. Ask any questions. I'd be happy to answer best I can.